We moving the chains, we changing the game. You know that we moving the chains with change. Just stay in your lane.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to this week's episode of Moving the Chains with Commish. That's right, Chief is going to be out of commission for this week, so in his absence, I'm going to go ahead and take over our studio, give us a recap of Week 10, and look ahead to Week 11, and hopefully get to introduce you guys to a new member of our media team. But before we get into that, let's go ahead and start with the opening drive. Looking back at the results from Week 10 in TLFL, our main league, we'll go ahead and start with a battle at the very top of our standings. We saw Fully Automatic taking on the reigning champion Beast Mode, and Fully Automatic coming out on top of that matchup in order to secure themselves at the very top of the standings heading into Week 11. Definitely going to be a fun finish at the very top. Of course, Chief's not here to toot his own horn, but we gotta toot it for him because that was one hell of a game. Finagle the Bagel put up over 230 points on their way to a victory over Team of Me. Al is now 0-2 since the rebrand, so that's not going according to plan, but still plenty of games ahead, and finds himself right in the middle of the pack with 4 weeks left to play. And lastly, we had our annual Henson Bowl. That's right, two brothers going head-to-head with Alex and Mason. And this time, the younger brother did prevail in what was a little bit of a snooze fest. And looking back historically, it was the second lowest score combined of the season so far. Two names going head to head with a little bit of hype. Matchup didn't really live up to that hype. But speaking of hype, let's go ahead and move into TLB. We got a couple of notable matchups happening in our B League. None more exciting than our top scorer, Delvin, and some sexy scoring for you, who put up quite the score and quite a show in his victory over Happy to Be Here. Right now, with only 3 wins on the season, I am starting to question if they are, in fact, happy to be here. Moving on to someone who definitely is happy to be here, Mamba Mentality showed that he is the same animal and a different beast.
You're welcome.
As he showed out in his victory in a huge blowout win over Kenny in raising Bauer levels. Bauer levels this week, pretty low. Couldn't even hit triple digits in that matchup, but did gracefully bow out about halfway through the weekend's matchup. Just knew there was probably no coming back from this beatdown. Coming off of a really high scoring week last week, Kenny had to get humbled a little bit this week, but no time for that segment as we move into the final matchup. A week recap would not be complete without the mention of a very special Nigerian scammer. Yes, yet again, the scammer has pulled one over on a top-tier team. P. Bateman, who is currently sitting at number 2, falls short in a very, very close matchup to the Nigerian scammer. Nigerian scammer keeps finding ways to sneak in these victories. Actually, of the 5 narrowest victories so far in TLB, Nigerian scammer has been involved in 3 of them and has actually won all 3 of those matchups. So close matchups, the scammer always finds a way to win. Now again, in the Chiefs' absence, we're going to go ahead and do something a little bit different this week. We are going to be introducing someone new to our media team that you probably haven't seen before. Without further ado, Historian, got something for us?
What is up, Terra Lakes Fantasy League? Your Historian has finally arrived. And while Chris has done a phenomenal job holding the fort down, and to his credit is also still helping out a lot, I have come to take my throne as the true historian of this league. 17 years of history, and we cannot let that go to waste. We're going to update you weekly about everything as Chris has been doing. And this is going to start, of course, by dropping back to last week. We had yet another battle of the Hensons as Mason and Alex went head-to-head. However, this time the stakes were just a bit higher. As has been discussed in recent weeks, Mason is on a losing skid that has put him dangerously close to the 100 loss mark. Well, unfortunately for him, sitting at 99 losses, his brother Alex was the one to deliver the final blow, making Mason the first player in league history to cross the 100 loss mark. Mason, I'm sorry. I know you don't want to be a part of a piece of history like that. On the other hand, Alex, savor that one. Now, there are a couple other players close to this 100 loss mark. Sitting just 3 away is Nico, Bay Lake Showboats, and sitting 4 away is myself. However, my recent 5-game win streak has probably kept me from being in contention. With 4 games left, there's still a chance we get another, or possibly 2, 100 loss marks broken. But we'll see moving forward. Now, in these segments, we are going to narrow it in just a bit and look at the in-season marks that can be broken. As the Commish mentioned earlier, there was a great shootout between Finagle the Bagel and Team of Me. Their game put up a total of 404 points, which in this season is the highest mark hit. And while it sounds like breaking 400 points is some phenomenal feat, it is. It's a fun matchup. That only makes it the 11th highest all-time point total in this league, so they couldn't even crack the top 10. Maybe we'll get another chance this year at breaking a top 10 point total all time, but for now, we're going to have to settle for this shootout. However, there was some all-time history made in this matchup. Freddie was sitting at 74 wins, and he was able to put over 200 points easily, hitting the 75 win mark in style. And he's not the only one close, because coming back now to this upcoming week, Nico, Bay Lake Showboats, who I remind you is only 3 losses away from 100, is also only 1 win away from 75. And he has a tough task as he's playing the reigning champ, Larry. Although, it's Thursday and I already know Larry left Ramondre Stevenson in his lineup, so maybe Nico is well on his way to 75 wins now. And we do have one more piece of history to discuss before wrapping this up, and that is going to be the longest active win streak against a single opponent. Where currently the longest active win streak is 7, and that's held by Chris over Darren. Funnily enough, he is 7-1 all time against Darren, meaning that their first ever matchup was a Darren win. Not only was it a win by Darren, it was by 2 points, and it gave Darren a playoff spot over Chris. Obviously, Chris has held on to this and taken it out on Darren every opportunity he has got. 7 straight wins is a long way, and we'll see if that grudge ends moving forward, but I'm not sure. The Commish is an angry guy. Trust me. Now, the second longest active streak goes down quite a bit. It's only 4, and that is with me over Mason. We have already played this year, so that streak will at least live on till next year. So Mason, try to get me next year. Good luck. It's not going to happen. And now finally, I would like to make an announcement for the league. As a historian, I of course love to honor incredible achievements. The most incredible, of course, being the Rosewood in winning the league. That has always been the only award given out in Terror Lakes Fantasy League. Well, that is changing this season, and I'm happy to announce our next award is going to be the Hal Henson Award. If you don't know, Hal was a part of this league for many years. He just retired in this offseason. He was extremely competitive, he won 2 titles, and he always did it in his own unique way. Every time the draft day grades came around, he'd have an F or a D if he was extremely lucky. Yet, he took all those swings and rarely missed. He did it his own way. So we are going to honor the Hal Henson Award to the player who has the highest jump from draft day grade to the final standings finish. For example, if you finish 12th with your draft day grades and you win the league, you are guaranteed to win the Hal Henson Award. So, just shows you can do it your own way and don't have to follow what the projections tell you should or shouldn't work. And that's all for this week. I'm going to toss it back to the Commish. And to honor Freddie, I guess. Fuck all of you.
Thank you, Duff, for coming back and claiming your rightful place in history in the making. We're going to hopefully keep seeing you on these future episodes throughout the remainder of this season. But let's go ahead and take a look ahead into week 11. We definitely have some crazy matchups. And of course, we have to name our game of the week. Now in TLFL, the main league, finding a specific game of the week seems pretty easy, but there's actually a lot of really good matchups going on this week. All but one matchup are actually between 2 teams where the difference in wins is no more than 1. That's right, everyone is within 1 of their opponent this week, with the exception of Freddie and Mason's game, but don't want to kick him in while he's down. So very exciting matchups, but one matchup stands out from the rest. That's going to be fully automatic versus the Orlando Leones. That's right, the Historian going up against the Auto Drafter. We're gonna go ahead and see who wins. What makes this matchup so exciting? Both teams actually heading into it on a 5-game win streak, definitely getting hot there in the middle of the year. And if you've been keeping track of the chat, Sino had a couple of things to say about a trade that Duff had made earlier in the season, albeit a little bit late. So let's see if some of that fire actually shows up in the matchup, and let's see if those players that were traded for make an impact in this week's Game of the Week. Now, of course, we also have to have a Game of the Week over in TLB, and this one is a little bit more exciting because stakes are finally going to be on the line. Looking at our number 1 team in TLB, Full Monty, with an 8-2 record, looking to secure the very first playoff spot between either of the 2 leagues, and they can do that this week with a win over Delvin and some sexy scoring for you. Delvin hoping to play spoiler, coming off a very hot week where he put up the highest number. Let's see if he can keep his season alive and keep Monty out of the playoffs for one more week. But it's going to be an exciting finish nonetheless. Thank you guys for joining us in the studio. This has been Movin The Chains with Commish. In the famous words of Chief, out like trout. Best of luck to you guys.
We moving the chains, we changing the game. You know that we moving the chains with Chief. Just stay in your lane, so nothing the same. We steady be moving the chains with Chief. Go for the rain, just doing my thing. You know that we moving the chains with Chief. We moving the chains with Chief. Talking my shit at the end of the week. We moving the chains.